Hello and welcome, a very warm welcome to Lichen and Loam. It's the first time I've said that. I didn't say that in the previous video. Welcome to the woods. It only feels right to sit in the woods and record probably the first official Lichen and Loam video. Thanks for being here. I'm Katie. My pronouns are they and them. And I'm based in Bannau in South Wales, although I'm not there today. I'm in a nature reserve a bit further south near the sea because I've come mushroom hunting, and we'll come onto that later in the video. But I wanted to start by saying thank you. Thanks to everyone who watched my previous video and gave me such a warm welcome back to YouTube. It feels good to be here. I'm still nervous. I'm not sure if or when those nerves will disappear. I feel okay with that. But being in the woods always helps me feel relaxed. And this morning I'm really enjoying the sound of the wind breeze gently moving through the leaves of the birch trees. It's a beautiful morning. I'm really glad to be out and here and with a new video to share with you. As I've been sitting here recording 15 different takes of my intro, I've been looking at what I thought was just another piece of bark on this birch tree over here, but actually it's a little moth who's just been sitting with me, keeping me company while I've been recording, and yeah, thought I'd let you know that they were here too. So the one thing that I am working on at the moment, or at least starting to work on, is the pattern for my Lichen Fancier cardigan. This is a garment that I knitted, well, at least 2 years ago. I finished knitting it. Goodness knows how much longer before that I started knitting it. It's a design for a colourwork cardigan, and I have got the photography done. I have the pattern written, so the piece that I'm working on now is an illustration for the front cover, which I had sketched out and started drawing before my time away. So I have a piece in progress that I've been easily able to pick up and continue working on. I suppose it's not essential to have an illustrated front cover for a knitting pattern. Now that I've got the photography and the pattern written, I could release this pattern without this, this hand-drawn front cover, but it's something that I feel like I can uniquely do as someone who's primarily an illustrator before a knitter. I love producing these illustrated booklets for my knitting patterns. It's something that brings me a lot of joy and brings something from my experience as someone who makes zines and comics and self-published books. To translate that into my knitting patterns feels really important. So I really like the act of creating a tactile illustrated booklet to encapsulate my knitting pattern rather than just a PDF, although it will be available as a digital download as well. I really like the fact that I get to offer my knitting patterns as a physical printed object. I mentioned earlier that I have become someone who knits on one project at a time, which has been a surprise to me because I have always been the kind of person who has multiple projects on the go, and I didn't really ever experience any problems with that until my burnout a year ago, and I was struggling so much with overwhelm in every area of my life, from work and craft and creative projects to being in my house renovation to deciding what to eat every day. Everything in my whole experience of being was overwhelming, and so I was looking for places at every opportunity where I could reduce my experience of being overwhelmed. And so I just worked on one knitting project at a time, and it's been a really transformative experience. It hasn't been easy. I would say I've been bored with knitting a lot more than I used to be. Whenever I got fed up with a particular project for whatever reason, because it was a long stretch of doing the same thing, so it was boring, or it was a fiddly section of the pattern and it wasn't the right time because I was, on a phone call or in a social situation and I needed to do counting and chart reading, I would set a project aside and pick up something else. And after a year of not doing that, I think I've come out with fewer knitting projects than I would have done in my previous approach, but I've gained a new appreciation of what it is like to see one project through from the beginning to the end without getting distracted by something else. And I say without getting distracted, not that I didn't want to cast on other things. I certainly felt moments of inspiration, although obviously I was not well. I was not feeling as inspired and excited about things as I usually am. But I was able to understand the potential consequences of deciding to cast on an extra thing and choose not to. And that's the thing that's really different for me. So I am wearing my most recent finished project. This is the Pangolin jumper by Anna Enge. And I cast this on in April, maybe May. A friend of mine had a fancy dress party where we were invited to dress as something beginning with P, and for reasons unknown I decided I wanted to be a pangolin. Obviously I didn't finish the jumper in time for that event, but I kind of knew I wouldn't. But it was the first time in months I'd felt really excited about a knitting project and decided to cast it on. I went rummaging through my stash to find a selection of odds and ends of yarns left over from various projects, and also yarns, bits and pieces that I had bought without necessarily having a project in mind. So odd skeins essentially, and I made this garment entirely out of scraps of different bits and pieces. One of the things I love most about my pangolin jumper, and I've had to take it off to show you, is the stories I can tell you about all the different yarns that I've used. And I love that I can remember the details of pretty much all of them. So this one for the neckband is it's a retired merino blend from John Urban Textiles. I used it to knit a little acorn cap for my nephew when he was born. The next one is some Daughter of a Shepherd heritage, which I used for my Eskrick shawl. The next kind of creamy colour is some Shetland from a farm in the Yorkshire Dales that I went to with my family. This kind of greenish colour is the Nellie and Eve nettle-dyed Gotland and blue-faced Leicester that I used for my Caledonia jumper. This kind of pale yellowish colour is some Wensleydale that I dyed with fallen lichens from Dartmoor. This next kind of dark one is some more of the Daughter of a Shepherd, but it's held double with I think it's a JC Rennie colour that I used in my underwing mittens, and so on and so forth, all the way down this jumper. All of the different yarns and scraps tell stories, either of places and people I've been with, which is why I bought the yarn but then didn't know what to do with it, or scraps and bits and pieces left over from old favourite projects. While I'm here, I thought I'd better tell you about the shawl I'm wearing as well, because I think I was also wearing it in my last video. This is knitted from my handspun. The fibre was a alpaca, silk and merino from Cat Sparrow UK. And I think the colour's called Rushes. It's this beautiful, dark, earthy green, but the silk gives it a lovely subtle shine. It's gorgeous. It was gorgeous to spin. And I spun 300 grams and I used every single metre of the yarn. So I used a plying bracelet to make it into a 2-ply, so I didn't have any singles left over. And then it's a shawl that you cast on at this end and it grows and grows and grows. And I was weighing my yarn down to the last gram, and I think I ended up with about this much left over. It was extremely satisfying. The pattern is called Abide. It's by Kirsten Kapur, and I first came across this pattern from I think Sarah of Fibre was wearing a version of this shawl at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I'm going to guess that was 2018, maybe 2019, a long time ago, and I've sort of been thinking about it ever since. And I love this kind of leafy pattern on the edge. It's really beautiful. So yeah, this is my version of the Abide shawl in my own handspun yarn. Oh, more friends. I love that the longer you sit in a place in the woods, the more you notice. And as I've been sitting here chatting, I've been noticing the tiny little cladonia lichens covering the moss, which is covering the bark on this tree. I've also noticed there's a little woodlouse here. I've got a little bug on my hand. There's just so much life here. The more you look, it's amazing. My current knitting is living in my fairy ring project bag. I hadn't initially saved myself one of these. These were available with the fairy ring socks and hat kits when they came out a couple of years ago, and I thought they were all gone. But when I was unpacking and reopening my shop recently, I found a box of them. I got to keep one for myself, and I was able to put a few in the shop for the first time. They've never been available just as the bag, so it was really nice to be able to put some of those back in my shop. And my current project is living in here. They're just the right size for a sock project. And I've got a sock, which is very nearly finished. It looks super tiny because it's 2x2 rib throughout, so it's really stretchy. I'm not following any particular pattern. I'm following my own sock recipe, and believe it or not, it is a second sock. I've already finished the first one, finished apart from weaving in the ends, so not completely done, but I'm very close to finishing this project. And I always think of accessory projects like socks or hats or mittens as like little palette cleansers. I like to do them in between larger projects and having finished this jumper, it was, yeah, definitely time for something soothing and straightforward. So I cast on these socks. And yeah, what can I tell you about them? It's the first time I've tried doing an asymmetrical toe. So these socks will have a very distinct left foot and right foot. I've been really getting into wearing my barefoot walking boots and enjoying having more room for my toes to spread out in my shoes. So it seems like the right thing to do to make my socks more foot shaped as well. The yarn that I'm using is a wool and cotton blend from Lang Yarns. Wool, cotton and a bit of nylon in there as well. I picked it up from my local yarn shop. I thought the colours looked nice, so I thought I would give it a try. I've never knitted socks with cotton in before, but I thought they might be a bit cooler for summer months and for hot days hiking. So yeah, I can't really believe that I've knitted 2 socks. I'm a great sufferer of second sock syndrome. And I don't really massively enjoy knitting socks. It depends. I mean, I quite enjoy knitting fun pattern socks, but plain practical socks are not really my favourite thing to knit. And yet, like all things, they are my favourite thing to wear. Same with garments. It's much more fun to knit a kind of patterned colourwork extravaganza, but the things that I wear the most are really my plain and most basic knits. So I'm trying to make space for both of those things in my knitting life. One of the things that's been really supportive during my recovery over the last year has been hiking, and in particular, hiking on my own. Now Jack is 15 years old, he's much less able to go on long walks, so I've been spending lots of time exploring around where I live by myself, and it's been really meaningful to help cultivate a sense of belonging in this landscape. I've been really enjoying documenting these walks and sharing them over on Patreon. The video you're seeing right now is just an extract of my most recent hiking vlog, which you can watch in full over there with commentary about the walk and more beautiful music from Will McNichol. It's been really transformative for me to take these walks and to make the videos to help me feel more at home here in my new home. Whenever I'm out and about, I am always slowing down whoever I'm walking with, be it my partner or my friends, by stopping to take photos of mushrooms. And my phone is absolutely full of these pictures of mushrooms, also lichens and mosses, but especially at this time of year, it's mushrooms. And so I thought it was high time I started doing something with all of those pictures, doing some research, learning a bit more about them. And so here it is, the mushroom report. So the reason I've come to this particular nature reserve today is I've been looking for one of my favourite kinds of mushrooms, although as I say that, I feel like almost all mushrooms are my favourite kinds of mushrooms. I've come here looking for wax caps, and there's a couple here. There's a black one here and a red one here. And they're probably the same species. I'm not very good at identifying mushrooms down to species level. And wax caps in particular are quite variable in their colour, I think. They particularly like unimproved grassland, which means it hasn't been fertilised. So although the mushrooms in this kind of habitat are quite common, the habitat itself is quite rare and decreasing. So it's not easy to find them, but when you do find them, you find lots of them. And I've seen loads here, which is very exciting, loads of different colours. I'm always searching for the parrot wax caps, the green ones, but they tend to change to yellow and orange as they get older. So they don't always look as bright green as you see in mushroom books. But I found this black one, which I'm going to guess is a blackening wax cap. I've seen red ones, orange ones, yellow ones. It's so exciting. I love seeing them. I love seeing all the different colours, and when they're new, they're very shiny and really easy to spot, especially the bright red ones. When I tell people I'm into mushrooms, they always assume that I'm interested in foraging them to eat, and I'm not really. I'm interested in just looking at them in their natural habitat. I did find out that wax caps are technically edible, as in you won't die if you eat them, but they're not very tasty. So they're best to just look at and leave in their natural place. And why wouldn't you? They're so beautiful to see out here. I saw so many incredible mushrooms that day, lots and lots of different kinds of wax caps. So beautiful and colourful poking out amongst the grass. But I saw other mushrooms as well. These lovely round white ones, and then some stunning orange ones in the woodland. I also saw some pink ones, which I got very, very excited about. And what looked like a jelly ear, although I normally see these on trees rather than the floor. And then a really kind of spiky, scaly puffball. Even though I did find a bajillion wax caps, I think that this parasol mushroom might be my favourite find of the day. These always remind me of the first time that I got really excited about mushrooms. I was with my friend Cat. Hi Cat. She'd come to stay with us on Dartmoor when we were living there, and we went out on the moors to take Jack for a walk, and there was just loads of these gigantic parasol mushrooms, like huge, as big as dinner plates. And I had never seen anything like it before, and I think that was the moment that my excitement for mushrooms got started. So it's pretty cool to see one of these today, and I'm being a bit gentle because there's a gorgeous pale green spider sitting on the top there. Hi. The following day, I visited a mountainside nature reserve, hoping to find even more wax caps. I remembered that this mountaintop was particularly good for wax caps last year, so I thought I would come up and have a look, but I think I'm probably just a few days late. There's loads of them here, absolutely loads of them, but they're all looking a little bit past it, and apparently what happens is their caps get bleached by the sun, and obviously on top of the mountain here they're getting a lot of exposure to the elements. So some of the really young ones, if I look among the grass, I'm finding some early ones that are really bright, but any that have really come up and are visible are looking a little bit ragged. But I did find what else I was looking for up here, which is some coral fungus. This is one that is not a wax cap, but it's an associated species, and it likes apparently calcareous grassland. This is a limestone exposed mountain, so it's a great habitat for it up here, and it's the first place I've ever seen it, and the only place I've ever seen it. I can't believe I've actually just found them, the green parrot wax caps I was talking about. I was looking at this yellow one because I thought I'd get a little bit of film to show you when they're looking a bit ragged and bleached by the sun. And as I cleared the grass away, I noticed it had this green tinge around the edge. So I thought I'd have a closer look at the stalk to see if it used to be green. And then next to it, there's these two ones that are actually fresh and shiny and green. And I'm so excited and so happy. I've never seen them before, and I can't believe that I've found them here this morning. Amazing. I've always wanted to find these ones, and it's made me very happy. From me and Jack, a huge thank you for coming to visit with us here in my studio and spending some time with me outside looking at the mushrooms as well. I hope you've enjoyed watching. All that remains is to say thank you for everyone who supports my work financially, whether that's through Patreon, shopping in my shop, or leaving donations on Ko-fi. The links are all down below. And yeah, I genuinely couldn't do this without you. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye. Yeah, we haven't done this for a while, have we? Do you not want to be on the camera? Is that enough? Or if we turn you this way, will you be more comfortable? What do you think? We're going to chat about drawing. So, yeah, here we are, back in my studio. No, okay, that's enough then, Jack.